Good day and welcome back to another DBZ Dokkan video. In this video we're going to be taking a look at the breathing and timing in Unison free-to-play physical Trunks Kid and Goten Kid exchange unit. Now this unit very clearly is a free-to-play unit. They are pretty interesting, but I'll admit, unless they get an easy A, they are interesting with some cool peaks and troughs, but not necessarily a unit I would consider being someone you may want to invest in hugely outside of getting the tons of thanks tickets. So Trunks and Goten Kid, they are a reversible exchange unit. They function pretty straightforward. Trunks greatly raises attack and defense 1 turn with a high chance of stunning. Key +2, attack and defense of 150%. For the first turn from entry, 30% damage reduction. When attacking, 150% attack. For every physical key sphere obtained, 40% attack, 20% defense. One or more physical key spheres, you will launch an additional attack with a great chance of becoming a super. 2 or more physical key spheres, defense of 150% when attacking. 3 or more key spheres, guards all attacks. And starting from the 4th turn, you can switch with Goten. In terms of his active skill, he greatly raises attack temporarily, causes ultimate damage to the enemy, attack of 30% up, and changes into key spheres to physical key spheres for 1 turn. If you are to switch to Goten, he also has key +2, attack and defense of 150%. With any key sphere obtained, he guards attacks. When attacking, he has attack of 150%. For every type key sphere obtained, he has attack of 15 and defense of 30%. With a type key sphere obtained, physical excluded, he will launch an additional attack. There's a great chance of becoming a super attack. With 3 or more key spheres obtained, he has defense of 150%. When attacking, and for 5 or more key spheres obtained, he has a 30% damage reduction rate. He greatly raises attack temporarily and causes ultimate damage to the enemy, and defense of 30%, as well as changing end key spheres to rainbow key spheres. Trunks is more offensively orientated, Goten is more defensively orientated. Trunks is great to use when you have a large amount of physical key spheres, as this allows him to have a good attack stat, as well as also maximizing all of his passive. Any other kind of key sphere, including rainbow, you want to be Goten. That's honestly about it. Goten is better defensively, whereas Trunks is better offensively. Goten, however, is less restricted than Trunks, as he can pick up any orb. Trunks is more restricted. Personally, obviously, I think for the most part, if you really want to use this unit and you're maximizing using them for whatever reason in hard content, you probably want to give them full evasion. If you're just looking to have some fun with a free-to-play unit that can be used for low to mid-game content, which these guys definitely can, before people take this the wrong way, this is a cool, interesting, fun unit that I think tries to take advantage of the reversible exchange concept. Barring a easy A that is yet to come, which could potentially still very much appear, these guys are just cool on the idea that they showcase the interchangeable concept. Trunks has a pretty cool active skill. He is more restrictive but can do some pretty cool damage. I mean, he can get up to 8 million, which is pretty good. Without without catering him to massive amounts of orbs or anything, or orb changing, he can hit 8 million, which is pretty cool. Goten as well also can, of course, be pretty cool as well, hitting some pretty decent attack stats but being very solid defensively. These guys are good for low to mid game content. What is super interesting is the potential of this unit as a nuking unit. 40% attack per physical key sphere is very, very high. The ability to use Trunks as a potential nuking option for events could be really, really fun and helpful for a lot of people. And I think that's where I find them to be so interesting. Besides that, it's just a really fun, interesting designed unit. The active skills allow them to do some cool damage. Defensively, they are more of a second slot type of unit. They do have guard, they have 30% damage reduction, which is actually not bad for free to play, and they gain a lot of defense on attacking. So their attack stats and defensive stats go up a lot when they attack. For example, Trunks, you'll see when we get a lot of orbs, has around 193,000 as his defense. This is pretty solid, but obviously at the same time, you attack, and this goes up quite a bit. This goes up to like 400k. Combine that with guard, 30% damage reduction. It's not a terrible defensive stat. It's not going to make him a first slot tank in the hardest content in the world, but it is going to make him pretty usable. So for me, there is definitely incentive to using these units, like for that kind of low to medium, kind of mid entry level content. And I think they showcase the exchange mechanic to a certain degree. I do think they're probably, like with these guys, I do think they're probably going to easy A, all things considered. Like, I think there's definitely scope that they will possibly Extreme Z Awaken, because I think that's definitely where they're going to kind of lie. And I think that could be something very interesting, because I think if you can give them orb changing with the easy A, that would be a much different story. Even just singular orb changing, like Trunks changing some orbs to physical, Goten creating rainbow orbs, then it would be very interesting. Yeah, and you could restrict it to upon entry, so like obviously you couldn't just switch or something like that to constantly create orbs. But I think that personally for me would be huge and would make the unit way more consistent and really, really interesting as a free-to-play. With that being said, I still think there is potential here. Like I said, you can try them out in nuking missions. I think there is potential. The fact that they gain guard, the fact that they gain damage reduction on the amount of orbs they get is also not something to discount. Those two mechanics together are very strong. Both Goten and Trunks have the ability to have 30% damage reduction and guard, which is a lot for free-to-play units. Like, without kind of running it down, it's pretty solid. Trunks obviously can't have that permanently, but it's one of those things. All in all, for me, pretty cool. Pretty cool unit, pretty interesting design. Link-wise, they link up pretty well with any Goten and Trunks style of unit. You know, they've got your prepared for battles, your budding warriors, your innocents, your prodigies, your sand warrior races. Trunks has royal lineage, Goten has all in the family. There's definitely enough in terms of link sets that you can use them with relative ease alongside any Goten, Trunks, etc. style of unit. So for me, definitely there is a huge ability to use them and incorporate them, and I think ultimately that is really good for them. With that being said, I do think right now, the way they are, the way they're designed, the way everything works, I don't think there's a space for them on like top tier teams, like how I see AGL LR Demon King Piccolo. But yeah,